also a manager, had an interesting theory about percentages. Let's check it out.
Truth is, you deserve 50% of that business. See, if I come into a new artist, I have already my relationships. I already have the understanding of the business. I already have the knowledge. I'm not learning that with you side by side. If I'm an investor in a restaurant and you're the chef, you might know how to cook, but you don't know how to run a restaurant. I could put the money up for the location. I know how we're going to make it big. You just cook. Great. We're 50-50 partners. You cook. I run the restaurant. That's going to make us all the money. The partnership of manager and artist should be a real partnership because I'm putting the same sacrifice. I'm giving my same hours as you are. I'm late at the studio. I'm sacrificing my family the same way. I'm putting my own money in to pay my flights. You don't have money to pay me yet. Pushing you in every single way. I'm taking the fights. You're babysitting because a real manager solves the other person's personal problems on top of that. If the artist then blows up and becomes a weekend, then you can start lowering the percentage of a manager as that goes because now I don't have to chase so many opportunities. They're coming to us. Touring is all set. You know how to work in the studio. Your relationships are set. So now I become an investor, an operator. So I'm going to lower that level of percentage to match my duties and my jobs that I'm doing now. The first couple of years, the first contract should be 50-50. We should be us working together with one goal to build partnership, to build a business, an entity together.
50%. 50%. Now, I know a lot of people was like, yo, that's outrageous, especially those that have been in the music industry for years, past 20 years or so. They're thinking about that like it's outrageous. But is it really? Let's kind of break this thing down. You know, first off, you know, I've, you know, thank God, been in the music industry for over 14, 15 years professionally. And I've been blessed to be a music manager, not an official artist manager, but more of a music manager, which means that I used to manage the actual music. Not the artist as in shows, as in contracts, things like that. I did more of the management in terms of the actual music, what gets done, the actual sound, the artist development, things of that nature. But I've been also fortunate to be able to negotiate deals and read contracts, you know, and do deals that encompassed the artist getting paid and myself or other people getting paid via doing the business the correct way. Now, when you break down what an artist manager does, you have to keep in mind that this is someone that's coming in that sees value in you as an artist that can say, hey, let me help you take your music and your artistry to the next level. That's what they're coming in to do. It doesn't necessarily specify what that manager will do to take your industry, you know, rate or your music or whatever to the next level. It just says, you know, the basic definition is really managing your task and things that is needed for you to be successful. That's really all it is. But over time and over the years, there's been a specific way that people manage artists, especially those who work for labels. You know, that's number one. You might have an artist that's being signed to a label, and then they're also assigned a manager, or they have a manager of their own to be able to help with doing things on a major scale with a major budget, the machine behind them, things like that. And then you have, you know, the independent artists who they're making good music, they're putting out good product, and then they might need a manager to handle, you know, doing bigger shows or trying to get them, you know, bigger opportunities to make money and things like that, you know, but they're independent. So in those cases, you know, sometimes the manager spends their own money on the actual artist. And we'll talk about that in a second. My main thing that I want to point out is when you have a manager or when you are supposed to get a manager, in my opinion, professional opinion, you only hire a manager when you yourself cannot handle the overflow of work and business that needs to be done on behalf of your career. Let me say that again. Sorry. Let me say that again. You only hire a manager when you got a lot of things that needs to be managed that make money. That make money. Because this person is going to be talking on behalf of you, going to be doing things on the behalf of you, which means that they need to get paid too. It's important that they get paid, as well, because that keeps the good business and good relationship going. I've seen managers that put up money that didn't get their money back, and they've been working on behalf of the artists. I've seen managers who have helped artists and they don't get a cut of nothing that's going on. They get kicked to the curb at some point in time. I've seen artists who's done an exceptional job of getting I've seen managers that's done an exceptional job of getting these artists to the next level, and the business works out perfectly. They end up working for 20 odd years or so, and they have a great relationship. There's all types of different scenarios, but we're talking about, in this case, what this man said, that managers deserve 50%. Now, he's basing his case off of when a scenario goes right. You know what I mean? When the artist has the relationships, has the connections, has everything that he said he's going to do, he executes it, he or she executes it. And then it's like, okay, boom, the artist is where they need to be. The money that this manager has spent, the artist has the actual money in the cachet to pay that back, and they can continue. He's also talking in context of what a true partnership is. It's not necessary. Yes, you have manager duties and you're creating yourself as a manager, but what's really actually happened is you guys have formed a partnership to work together to make this brand and this entity a success. Meaning the artist is going to do the music, be the creative element, do those things, and then the manager is going to take care of the financials, handle all the money, handle the relationships and the contracts, and then, try to get as much money possible from what the artist is doing. That's a partnership. The good thing about that is when you have somebody that's willing to partner with you, usually the business is straight down the middle, 50-50. Whatever money I put in, let me get my money back first. So if I put in $10,000, let me get my $10,000 back, whether it's on the front end or on the back end, however. And then we split the profits 50-50 after the expenses are recouped by the person who's putting up the money. Sometimes it's the artist and the manager putting in the money. Sometimes it's just the manager. Whatever the case may be, whatever money is being spent needs to be paid back, then split it 50-50. That's the average good case scenario. The problem with that is you finding a good manager that can actually execute those duties. That's when everything gets shaky. Now, some managers, a lot of managers back in the days, they would, the rule was, back in the days, in the industry days, is if a manager is trying to negotiate more than 20%, it's a scam. He's trying to scam you. And I don't think people really realize why they would make that rule, but let me explain why. A lot of these managers that were successful back in the days, they were working with labels. An artist got signed, hired a manager, the manager is working with that label that signed the artist. Now, if you break down this 100% pie that's with the artists and the labels, not the actual music, but sometimes in certain deals, of course, the labels will get a percentage of the shows that's being booked, or the tour that's going on, or the merchandising that's going on, things like that. So the manager has a couple of different things to make money from. Make money from the shows. He book a show, get money from the shows. A sponsorship deal comes in. He gets money from the sponsorship deals. So he or she would get 20% based on, let's say it's 100% pie for a show. The manager gets 20%. The label might get 30 or 40%. They're getting a percentage of the show money too. They're getting a percentage of the sponsorship money too. Why is that? Because the artist is signed to them. You get what I'm saying? So there's people who are also getting percentages in those shows and those sponsorships and things like that. So the manager can't take 50% in that instance because it's not going to leave any room for anybody else to eat. And there's multiple entities that's helping this artist become who they are. That's the reason why the over 20% rule was in place, because it was like, can't nobody else eat. You already know the labels is going to take a vast percentage of what's going on with the artists for almost everything that they do. So in those cases back in the days, the manager will only take, 15%, 10%, 20%, things like that. Sometimes they would have two managers. One manager take 10%, another manager take another 10%. Things like that. But fast forward to now, a lot more artists are becoming in the independent space. Not saying that there wasn't independent people before, for sure. There's independent artists before as well. But now, in these independent spaces, not only do you have shows, not only do you have sponsorships, but now you got these artists, they're becoming creators, content creators. They're becoming brands themselves that can do other things besides the music, besides the shows. They do a lot more branding partnerships now. And these managers are facilitating those deals even more. So when you're independent, you can do a partnership with with a manager. When you're an artist, you can do a partnership with a manager when you're independent, and y'all could break down to 50-50, because guess what? If the deal is for $2 million and the manager has been putting up money this whole time, it may be fair to say, hey, let's bust this down the middle. Especially if the manager is facilitating, making sure that, if he needs to get on a flight, he's getting on a flight. If he needs to have a new wardrobe, he's paying. If he's paying for all this stuff, why shouldn't he get, not even just 50%, 50, 40, 30, whatever. He's putting up the money. These deals can happen, these partnership deals can happen a lot more because the artist has value in negotiating and doing stuff too. Sometimes, like the gentleman said, sometimes when you on fire, the stuff is easier now. Now you can negotiate 30, 40, 20% because they're coming to us. They're coming to us to do a deal. But when the manager has to go out and put his best foot forward to be able to get these deals that the artist may not deserve, may not even be on a level, but because the manager put it into play because of his relationships, he may deserve a bigger piece of the pie. Do I agree with 50%? Nah. I feel like if you're just the manager, no. But if you're a partner in the company, you're a partner in the brand, if that's how you guys are doing business as partners, then yes. For sure. I think in that moment, you should take it out of the context of I'm just his manager. No, you should say I'm his partner. You know what I mean? I'm the CEO, the artist is the COO. Or whatever. The chief music operator, whatever. Whatever y'all titles is, it should be a partnership. Now, it's a good statement to say, and it's a good question to ask. Mainly, it's a good question to ask. How much of a percentage, which goes back to original business, how much percentage do you deserve based on what you can do or what you have done? Because in certain situations, they may say, okay, hey, I'm going to be your manager for 2 years. For the first year, let me show you what I can do. I'm going to only take 20% for the first year. And then after the first year, let's negotiate a different percentage because of what I showed you I can do. We can figure that out. That can be done. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, before I go, at the end of the day, remember that negotiations is negotiations. So it don't matter what manager you hire. You have to negotiate whatever that percentage is. You are hiring this manager. You have to negotiate the percentage regardless. Whether the industry says 50% is fine, whether they say 20%, 10%, whatever, it don't matter what the industry says, major or independent. You as the individual, as the creator, have to negotiate that percentage with the manager. You got to negotiate that. The artists and the managers got to talk business and figure it out. And whatever that agreement is, whatever that contract says, honor it and abide by it. The manager needs to abide by the duties that he said he's going to do within the contract. The artist needs to honor the things that need to be done by way of the manager, or needs to pay the manager respectfully for what he's done. You can't say, oh, he gets 30% for my shows and my sponsorships and things like that, and then when he gets you a show, you pay him 10%. It don't work like that. That's how things go wrong. Managers deserve to be paid for what they do and also what they negotiate. That includes if they negotiate a 50% split with the artist. Last thing I'm going to say is you are what you negotiate. You are what you negotiate. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let me know if 50% is too much. Let me know if 20% is still the going rate for managers in the industry. Let me know what y'all think. Put it in the comments. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all already know what it is. More content coming. I appreciate all the subscribers, all the likes, and all the cash apps. Y'all showing love. I'll be seeing cash apps in my phone. I'll be looking at my phone, and it's like, I got a cash app here from a couple of people. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep this thing rolling. Y'all already know what it is. Workload.